ఓం శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. హరి ఓం. సదాశివసమారంభాం శంకరాచార్యమధ్యమాం అస్మదాచార్యపర్యంతాం వందే గురుపరంపరాం. శ్రుతిస్మృతిపురాణానాం ఆలయం కరుణాలయం నమామి భగవత్పాదం శంకరం లోకశంకరం. శంకరం శంకరాచార్యం కేశవం బాదరాయణం సూత్రభాష్యకృతౌ వందే భగవంతౌ పునః పునః. ఈశ్వరో గురురాత్మేతి మూర్తిభేదవిభాగినే వ్యోమవద్వ్యాప్తదేహాయ దక్షిణామూర్తయే నమః. గుకారస్వంధకారో వైరుకారస్తన్నివర్తకः అంధకారనిరోధిత్వాత్ గురురిత్యభిధీయతే. ఓం సహనావవతు సహనౌ భునక్తు సహ వీర్యంకరవావహై తేజస్వినావధీతమస్తు మా విద్విషావహై. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. ఓం భద్రం కర్ణేభిః శృణుయామదేవాః భద్రం పశ్యేమాక్షభిర్యజత్రాः స్థిరైరంగైः స్తుష్టువాగుంసస్తనూभिः విషేమ దేవహిतं యదాయుः. స్వస్తి న ఇంద్రో వృద్ధశ్రవాः స్వస్తి నః పూషా విశ్వవేదాः స్వస్తి నస్తార్క్ష్యో అరిష్టనేమిः స్వస్తి నో బృహస్పతిర్దధాతు. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. ఓం ప్రజ్ఞానాం శుప్రతానైః స్థిరచరనికరవ్యాపిభిర్వ్యాప్య లోకాన్ భుక్త్వా భోగాన్ స్తవిష్టాన్ పునరపి ధిషణోద్భాసితాన్ కామజన్యాన్ పీత్వా సర్వాన్ విశేషాన్ స్వపితి మధురభుంగ్ మాయయా భోజయన్నః మాయాసంఖ్యాతురీయం పరం అమృతమజం బ్రహ్మ యత్తన్నతోస్మి. ఓం స్వప్నమాయే యథా దృష్టే గంధర్వనగరం యథా తథా విశ్వమిదం దృష్టం వేదాంతే చ విచక్షణైః. న నిరోధో న చోత్పత్తిః న బద్ధో న చ సాధకः న ముముక్షుర్న వై ముక్తः ఇత్యేషా పరమార్థతా. భావైరసద్భిరేవ అయం అద్వయేన చ వికల్పితः భావా అప్యద్వయేనైవ తస్మాదద్వయతా శివా. న నిరోధః న చ ఉత్పత్తిః న బద్ధः న చ సాధకः న ముముక్షుః న వై ముక్తः ఇతి ఏషా పరమార్థతా. There are three types of satyam. When we say satyam, we talk about three types of satyam. Paramarthika satyam, vyavaharika satyam, pratibhasika satyam. Trikala abaditam sat is called paramarthika satyam. Trikale abaditam yadrupena yannischitam tadrupam navyabhicharat tat satyam. This is the Shruti or Vedic definition of what is satyam. That which is unaffected in 3 points of time, 3 states of time is what is satyam. What is told as satyam has to be always satyam. If that is the case, that is called paramarthika satyam, paramartha satyam. It should never be different. It should remain the same. So in the recent controversy of the Sanatana Dharma and all that, the same kind of discussion came. The Nitya Dharma is what is Sanatana Dharma. That which does not change, that is Sanatana, always the same. Truthfulness is a Dharma. Suppose you say truthfulness is the right thing, means at all points in time, truthfulness has to be the right thing to do. Similarly here, what is Satyam? Yesterday it was something else. today if it is something else, tomorrow if it is something else, then that is not Satyam. Maybe something underneath it is the Satyam. So that is what is called Paramarthika Satyam. Then what we call as Vyavaharika Satyam, which is at the time of Vyavahara, there is a Yogyatvam, Vyavahara Yogyatvam which is there. Then that Satyam is called Vyavaharika Satyam, like in the case of pot and clay. So the pot is has a Vyavaharika Satyatvam. You can conduct business with it. You can hold water in the pot. You can use a lid to cover the pot. So there is a Vyavahara Yogyatvam of the lidness, potness. There is a usefulness for conducting transaction. But is it really Satyam? Is there something called pot? If there is something called pot, where is it? Is it on top of clay or inside clay or connected to clay? And whenever I see the pot, why am I always seeing clay in the clay pot? If it is intrinsic part of clay, then why I am able to see clay without it being pot? So all these questions come. Then you understand that there is no Satyatvam, Paramarthika Satyatvam of pot. It is only a Vyavaharika Satyatvam which is there. You can conduct Vyavahara. That is called Vyavaharika Satyam. Then you have Pratibhasika Satyam, which is illusory, which is what is called illusion. It just obtains like Shobhanadhyasa. You attribute certain value to certain things. Like even your dream, there is something which is seen. There is no, it's even not even available for transaction. It is just because of your own notion. Like you are superimposing something on something. That is your own imagination. That is called Pratibhasikam. Bhasa is there. It just for each individual there is some, psychological superimposition. So there is that is depending on the individual. Whereas a pot seen on clay doesn't depend on individual. Everybody sees the pot there. So you can't call it as Pratibhasika Satyam. It is called Vyavaharika Satyam. We have to understand this because here Paramarthata is used. So the Nirodha, Utpatti, Baddhatvam, Sadhakatvam, Mumukshutvam are not there from Paramarthika Satya perspective. Dvaitis don't understand this. Not only Dvaitis, most of the people who are contesting Advaita don't understand. How can what you see as a world that is available to your pramanas, like your sight, smell, and touch, be called illusion? This is a question they ask. Illusionist is what they call Advaitins as. Mayavadi. You go and search in any of these Dvaita Siddhanta, they immediately take this up and vehemently argue, like I said in the previous session. There, the reason, see, there is a context to talk about it here, so I am talking. Okay. Our intention is not here to fight anybody, but to understand, because this is a point of understanding. This Nirodha Utpatti, this is where many people have difference of opinion, and their basic problem is around this mithyatvam, or and in fact they don't say mithya, maya vada of Advaitins. They are maya vadi. Madhva, who was called Purna Prajna, his guru was also like our Ramanuja's guru. Even Madhva's guru, who even gave him the sannyasa diksha, was an Advaitin. And his contention also, Madhva's contention, and also people who wrote the Siddhanta, their problem is, how can you say a temporariness means it is Maya? Something you can say is temporary, but you cannot say it is Maya. You can say life is temporary. That doesn't mean it is illusion. It is there, or it was there for a period of time, fine. In fact, they go to the extent to say that even dream, you cannot say dream is illusion, it doesn't exist. It did exist. That's why you had an experience of it. You can find people arguing like this in the internet. Just go and, if you want, listen. If it just as an academic interest. So even seeing a snake on rope, they say that fact that you saw the snake there is your experience. That is, snake is not true, but your experience is true because you had it. You saw snake, so that snake experience is true. Snake may not be true. It may be only rope. So a temporariness doesn't mean it is non-existent. This is their contention. You tell us that it is temporary, it goes away in time, fine, but don't say it is an illusion, it is Maya. That is what is their primary contention. Okay. Now let us not even get into their Siddhanta. Their Siddhanta, they say Brahman, grace, prasada only will give you moksha. You have to become friend of Brahman. And then they are talking about a personalized Brahman and all that. For all those personalized Brahman, I don't even know what pramana they have from Shruti. They most likely pick it up from Bhagavatam and all that, and Bhagavad Gita. So they provide a status to all that on top of Shruti and then pick it up. But let's leave all that thing. Okay. We are only bothered about this contention that temporariness of Jagat doesn't mean it is illusion. That is their problem. Okay. But there, what is the issue there is they have misunderstood. First of all, we don't call it as Maya, it is Mithya. Number one. Means there is a dependent reality, is what is our point. Okay. Now, our means Shastra's point. The second issue is they think we are only talking about temporariness, and because of temporariness, we are saying it is Maya or Mithya or whatever. No, temporariness is not the criterion. That is where the problem is. You have to clearly understand, to understand the Siddhanta, you have to understand we don't say that it stays for temporary amount of time, therefore it is Mithya. No. Even as you are experiencing it at this moment, when the experience of Jagat is going on, right now it is Mithya. We don't, in fact, time itself is a dependent reality. Mithya means dependent reality. It doesn't have its own reality. So the Jagat, so we are talking from the standpoint of Jagat experience only now, right? Not Brahma Vastu itself. From Brahma Vastu itself, there is no Jagat at all. Like from the standpoint of clay, there is no pot. But even from standpoint of pot, as you are seeing the pot, What is only a Vyavaharika Satyam. As you are experiencing this Jagat right now, when you are hearing this, when you are seeing this, when you are having this world experience, at this moment itself, it is Mithya. There is no existence other than your Swarupa, the Satta. So it is, that is what they don't understand. They think it is only a period of time that it exists. It's temporary. Even if it is temporary, at the time of the temporary experience, it is Satyam. It has gone away after that. So you cannot say that temporary experiences are Satyam because just because it has gone away. No, we are not saying after some time somebody dies, therefore he never existed. Do we say that? So and so was there. MK Gandhi was there for few years, whatever number of years, and then he died. So he doesn't exist. He didn't exist. Do we say that? That's not how we look at it. So I don't think they have even understood this basic thing. We don't say temporariness of something establishes its non-existence. No, that's not what we are saying. Even when it exists right now, when you are experiencing it, that experience has a dependent reality. It doesn't have its own reality. It is dependent on the vastu. That is the Paramarthikatvam. That is the Paramartha. Jagat, from Jagat standpoint, there is Vyavahara. From Vastu standpoint, the only the Vastu is Paramartha. That is what is the shloka. Na nirodho na chotpattihi na baddho na cha sadhakaha na mumukshurna vai muktaha ityesha paramarthata. Paramarthika drishtya, there is no Srishti Pralaya. There is, so if there is no Srishti, there is no Jiva, Baddha Jiva also. There is no Baddha Jiva, there is no Sadhaka, nar Muktaha, nar Mumukshuhu. We saw this. सर्वोऽयं लौकिकः वैदिकश्च व्यवहारः अविद्याविषयः एवेति तदा न निरोधः निरोधनं निरोधः प्रलयः उत्पत्तिः जननं बद्धः संसारी जीवः साधकः साधनवान् मोक्षस्य मुमुक्षुः मोचनार्थी मुक्तः विमुक्तबन्धः उत्पत्तिप्रलययोः अभावात् बद्धादयः न सन्ति इत्येषा परमार्थता कथम उत्पत्ति प्रलयोः अभावः इति उच्यते द्वैतस्य असत्वत्वात्. There has to be a dvaita for you to have utpatti pralaya. Yatra hi dvaitam iva bhavati. So all this we have seen. So that's why I am rushing a bit here because I didn't want to repeat what we already saw. Naiha nana iva pashyati. But I just want to recollect all the discussion so that the session becomes contextual. Otherwise, if we start in between this discussion, it'll be difficult to catch up with what was discussed. That's why I'm quickly running through some of what was part of this we had covered last time. So atmaiva idam sarvam brahmaiva idam sarvam ekameva dvidiyam idam sarvam yadayam atma ityadi nana shrutibhyah द्वैतस्य सत्वं सिद्धं सतः हि उत्पत्तिः प्रलयः वा स्यात् नासतः सस्यविषाणादेः नापि अद्वैतम् उत्पद्यते प्रलीयते वा अद्वैतं च उत्पत्तिप्रलयवच्छेति विप्रतिषिद्धम्. Okay, so I think we stopped somewhere here. अद्वैतं च उत्पत्तिप्रलयवच्छ इति विप्रतिषिद्धम्. The pramana agocharam, karana agocharam is Brahma Vastu. So the Vastu which exists is not available for Karana Vyapara. It is not available for you to objectify. In fact, all you are objectifying is objectified on that Vastu as though it is objectified. But the Vastu, which is the only existential Vastu, is not available for objectification, but because of which everything else is as though objectified. So when you say Dvaitam, there are two things. The two-ness, the word two or more, right? Two means two or more. Dvaitam means many, many actually. Okay. So there is no two. But two proves many. Okay. That's what it is. So that when you say two, then you need to essentially have Karanagocharatvam. You need to have Gunavatvam in order for you to say there are two objects, because one itself has to be identified. If you have to identify one, there has to be the second also, because you have to distinguish this from the other. Suppose I say a cow exists, that has to have attributes. If there is one cow, suppose there is only thing which exists is cow, suppose I have to say. Okay, now for you to say there is cow, there has to be space in which it is standing, and there is a place on which it is standing. Okay, at the minimum, other than the cow, there has to be space and a place on which it stands. Something which separates cow from something else. At the minimum, there has to be space. A place where the cow is not there has to be there around the cow in order for you to say that the cow is okay. That's number one. So, cow and space. So, there are two. And then for me to say there is cow, a cow has to have a shape. It has to have some eyes, nose, whatever, horns. All these are gunas. And a horn is not like nose, nose is not like stomach, stomach is not like tail. So all these rupas I need to have know. And I should have, in order for me to understand the rupa called nose and eyes, I should have seen something else other than it. Then only I can distinguish cow from something else. So in order for me to even say something, a perceived one, I need to have another. Okay. So the person, when if you have to objectify something, then only more than one is there, then only I can objectify. So that means Dvaitam. So only when many, there's no one or two. Anything objectified means many only. Okay, simple. Now, when I say Advaitam, that means it has to be an non-objectifiable. Then only it can be Advaitam. The moment you objectify, it's not just about me and not me. Even in the not me, there has to be many in order for me to identify something. So there is only manifoldness which is possible. So Advaitam means there is no way you have anything which is objectified. So the non-objectifiable vastu can only be Advayam vastu. So Advaitam. I see something in the chat. Somebody said something. Oh, the screen is okay. I think something keeps going off. Okay. So this non-objectified vastu is the has to be an Advaya vastu. Okay. So the moment I say Advaitam, then it is not available for objectification is clear. The moment it is objectified, it is Dvaitam only. Advaitam is not objectified because anyway Advaitam has to include me. If it has to include me, then there cannot be anything else. So only I has to exist. Yeah, this cannot exist. So this Advayam Vastu implies time also has to not exist. It cannot be born because it is born from where? How does the birth take place? There is only one Vastu. So Advaitam cha Utpatti Pralayavacchaiti Vipratisiddham. So you cannot have Advaitam and at the same time there is a Utpatti and Pralaya. Utpatti and Pralaya means a non-existence, a total non-existence. There is only one Vastu. And if that one Vastu has to become Utpadyam, that means there should have been Shunyatvam before it. And Shunya Vastu means there is nothing. Then how does something gets born? What is the basis from where it is born? Everything is Shunya. So there cannot be, if it is an only in Dvaitam case, something can become something else. A clay can become pot, pot can become again clay, again it can become lid, it can become something else, like entropy and all that. Something keeps changing, changing, changing. That is called birth and death. Even there, as such, there is no birth. It is one thing which is shaping into something else. So all the minerals and energy is there. It becomes food. Food becomes, it gets consumed by plants. Then plants give food. From food, some animals consume it. Human beings consume it. Food becomes the body. Body goes back to the earth as food. Again, that food is consumed. So it keeps going. So the birth is within Dvaitam. Utpatti Pralayavatvam is within the Dvaita Bhava only. But in Advaitam, you cannot say Utpatti Pralayavaccha iti Vipratishiddham. It is contradictory. Yastu पुनः द्वैतसंव्यवहारः सः रज्जुसर्पवत् आत्मनि प्राणादिलक्षणः कल्पितः इति उक्तम्. यस्तु पुनः द्वैतसंव्यवहारः, the Dvaita Vyavahara Saha Rajjusarpavati Atmani Pranadilakshanaha Kalpitaha. So, in the Rajju, Sarpadandadara is superimposed. Likewise, the prana, etc., that we saw, whatever the different kind of perceptions of what is this Jagat, as well as the vacant dream and all these states are Kalpitaha iti Uktam. नहि मनोविकल्पनायाः रज्जुसर्पादिलक्षणायाः रज्ज्वां प्रलयः उत्पत्तिः वा. I think we saw this also in the last session. If it is only manovikalpana, which means what? In this case, it is pratibhasika satya. You are only seeing it. Basically, anything which is non-paramarthikam is what it is only, and you are seeing it. That's all. It is either available for transaction or it is not available for transaction. There is a difference between Vyavaharika and Pratibhasika. But since Rajju Sarpa is used, we have to take it as Pratibhasika here primarily. In that case, this Rajjuam Pralayaha Utpattihi Va for Sarpa. So there is no birth or death. Just because you are seeing, it is there. Whereas in the case of pot, you can say clay has been born as pot. Whereas snake is not born. You can make that small distinction because Vyavaharika Satyam transcends your seeing that. In this case, the moment you see snake is there. Then it is gone. You are seeing rope. Whereas in the case of pot, even if I have understood that pot is nothing but clay, still I continue to see the pot because it is Vyavaharika Satyam. So only the Paramarthika Drishtya, a pot being clay, has been understood. But the pot transaction continues. Whereas in the case of Rajju Sarpa, the Sarpa is gone. You only have the rope after you have understood that snake is nothing but rope. So that difference is there. That is where Dvaitis and others have a problem. They think we are only talking Rajju Sarpa, in the case of Raju Sarpa, with the Sarpa gone, Raju only is there. Whereas in the case of Brahman and Jagat, after you say Jnanam takes place, you are still transacting in the world. So that's why we say we don't call this as Raju Sarpa is just used as an example here for a non-paramarthika satya. That's all. But whereas Jagat is not pratibhasika, but it is a vyavaharika satyam. You can still transact in the world. A jnani also transacts, but doesn't attribute satyatvam to the Jagat. That is the difference. So here Rajju Sarpadi Lakshanayaha Rajwam Pralayaha Utpattirva. So neither the pot nor the Sarpa is actually born because they don't exist. They don't have a existence, satyatvam of their own. So nacha manasi Rajju Sarpanasya Utpattehe Pralayaha va nacha ubhayataha va tata manasatva abhisheshat dvaitasya. Dvaita also being seen only from a manasa. There is no vastutvam for the Dvaita Jagat. Dvaitasya manasatva avisheshat. Nahi niyate manasi sushupte va dvaitam grihyate. Niyate manasi sushupte va dvaitam na grihyate. We saw this. So in the niyata manas, which is the nirvikalpa samadhi, or like I said in the last session, in between two thoughts, when only you are there. See, this is the thing, right? This is what you have to understand. If pot is intrinsic to clay, I should be seeing pot all the time I see clay. If pot is an attribute of clay, I should never be able to see clay without seeing pot there. Even when I am seeing the pot, the clay should be seen as having pot as an attribute. But I am able to see clay without it being pot. Even when I am seeing pot, I am able to see it as only clay. Okay. That is, then pot cannot be construed as part of clay or on clay or off clay. Similarly, if I am able to recognize Atma without Dvaitam being there, which happens in the case of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Sushupti, or even in between two thoughts, that means the Dvaitam cannot be an intrinsic or any kind of attribute or an entity sitting on the Atmavastu. Because if it is an attribute of Atmavastu, I should never be able to have Atma without Dvaitam being there. Simple. And even when Dvaitam is being experienced, if I am able to recognize Atma alone as the Satyam, which is where the Dvaitam is seen, Atma alone is seen by a Jnani. Even when Dvaitam experience is going on, without any kind of Dvaitam as seen as an attribute of Atma, that means Dvaitam is incidental. So that's why he is saying, Niyate manasi sushupteva dvaitam nahi grihyate ataha manovikalpana matram dvaitam iti siddham. You can't contest it. Because you have, so it is not, so maybe it is other than Atma. Maybe it is not an attribute of Atma. Maybe Dvaitam is different, Atma is different. Yeah, it is possible only if Dvaitam can be established without seeing the Atma Satyatvam in it. Without the Chaitanya Vyapti, in fact, not just Chaitanya Vyapti, the Satya, Satta of the Dvaita Vastu is obtained from Atma only. So this in the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya Nasato vidyate bhavaha. Acharya clearly says Sangataha, Sanpataha, Sanhasti. This satta, satta, satta is always seen. Here he is going to say the same thing. Later, Sukiyaham, Dukki, Mudaha, Jataha, Mritaha, Jirnaha, Dehavan, Pashyami, Vyaktavyaktaha, Karta, Pali, Samyuktaha, Viyuktaha, Kshinaha, Vriddaha, Aham, Mama iti, Ete, Mama ete iti, Evamadayaha, Sarve, Atmani Adhyaropyante. Atma eva, Atma eteshu anugataha, Sarvatra Avyabhicharat. In any of this state, whether you see yourself as Sukhi or Dukhi and this is mine, this is what it is, all this Dvaita Samyavahara, Pashyami, Vyaktaha, Avyaktaha, Karta, Pali, Samyuktaha, Viyuktaha, I am. So, all the judgments about you, it obtains, the Atma obtains in all of this. Sarvatra Avyabhicharat, Sarpadaradi, Vedeshu, Rajjuhu Yata. In every cognition, the Satta is provided. Give me 1 minute. Getting a phone call. Sorry. So, in every cognition, there is Atma Anuvritti. Therefore, Advaitam cha, therefore, na manasi rajju sarpasya utpattihi pralayaha va, na cha ubayato va tata, manasatva avisheshat dvaitasya. Nahi niyate manasi sushupte va, dvaitam grihyate. Ataha manovikalpana matram dvaitamiti siddham. Tasmat suktam dvaitasya asatvat nirodadi abhavaha paramarthata iti. So he concludes saying it is well established by Shruti that there is no dvaita etc. because it is not possible to exist in the Advaya Vastu. So Utpatti Pralaya, it's not possible in Advaya Vastu. Yadi evam dvaita bhave shastra, then one objection is raised. Yadi evam dvaita abhave shastra vyaparaha na advaite virodhat तथा च सति अद्वैतस्य वस्तुत्वे प्रमाणाभावात् शून्यवाद प्रसंगः द्वैतस्य च अभावात्. So you are saying the Shastra is talking about Dvaita Abhava, na Nirodha, na cha Utpattihi, etc. That means Shastra is saying Dvaita Abhava, non-existence is the Tatparya of Shastra. So it is not talking about Advaita Vastu itself. It is only saying, you are saying it is establishing that there is no Dvaita. Tatacha Sati, because all your Shastra is about negation, negation, negation. As per you. Okay? We Dvaitis and Vishtadvaitis and Sankhya and Ayyayikas, we don't accept that. But you are saying entire Shastra is talking about Dvaita Abhava. The word Advaitam itself means Dvaita Abhava only. You are not, it's not a positive word, it is still a negating word only. If that is where is Shastra Vyapara, and there is no Advaya Vastu which is being shown specifically, Tatacha Sati Advaitasya Vastutve Pramana Bhavat. Shastra is not a Pramana for you then. Shastra is only Dvaita Pratisheda Pramana, not a Vastu Avabodha Pramana. So Vastutve Pramana Bhavat. So if Shastra is the only Pramana available, right? Other than, see, your Pratyakshadi Pramana is not going to show you Advaita Vastu. Eyes and nose and ears are not going to show you Advaya Vastu. Because you are saying Advaita Vastu is not available for objectification, then Shastra only is your Gati. Shastraika Gati. Now, if Shastra also you are saying is not going to show you any the Vastu there, it is only going to show you Advaita Virodha. All your other Pramanas are going to show you, I mean, Dvaita Virodha, Abhava. All your other Pramanas are showing you Dvaita. And Shastra comes and says all this Dvaita is not there. And there is no other Pramana to show any Advaya Vastu. Because your Pratyakshadi Vastu is showing Dvaita. I thought Shastra will show some Vastu which is Advaya Vastu, but that also you are saying is only for negating Dvaita. If that is the case, then where is your Pramana about that Vastu? That means all you are only saying there is nothing. Shunyavadaha. Because all the Pramanas which are showing Dvaita are negated through the Shastra Pramana, and there is nothing else which is anyway shown. So you are basically saying nothing exists. So you are illusionist, Mayavadi. Nothing exists, only Maya. Whole thing is Sunya. Whatever both Buddhists are saying, only you are saying. See, Shankara has picked this up specifically, this argument. And even then, 1,000 years after him, somebody comes and says he's a Mayavadi. I just don't understand how, without even studying properly, they make these kind of claims. Anyway, so he has himself argued. So you see, it's very clearly saying you are everything you are dismissing and only Sunya you are proposing is taking this Purva Paksha. It's not like we are not brushing it under the carpet. No, sir. Rajjuvat sarpadi vikalpanayaha निरास्पदत्वे अनुपपत्तिः इति प्रतियुक्तम् एतत् कथमुज्जीवयसि इति I have already said some time back in this same Upanishad discussion, Rajjuvat Sarpadikalpanayaha Niraspadatve Anupattihi. The Sarpa Kalpana is not possible without something else like Rajju being there. Haven't we discussed? Why are you again bringing the same thing, Sunya and all that? All the Kalpana is possible only when there is an Adhisthana Adhikarana. Without a Rajju, no Sarpa Kalpana or Danda Kalpana, nothing is possible. Something has to be there for you to make an image. If nothing is there in an empty space, how can you imagine a snake? Something has to be there for you to think of something else. But he says, Aha, Rajjuhu api Sarpa Vikalpasya Aspada Bhuta Kalpita Eveti Drishtantanapapattihi. He says, Purvabakshi says, hey, for you, Rajju also is Kalpita. There is no Rajju or Sarpa. You are like saying everything is no Dvaitam. So for you, Rajju also cannot exist. So there is no Drishtanta. You are bringing an example of Rajju and Sarpa, but for you there is neither Rajju nor Sarpa. See, if there are two things, in fact, this discussion happens, I think, in Taittiriya or one of the Upanishads. Bhashyakara, there is, he says this Drishtanta, for you there is no Drishtanta. See, you can superimpose on Dvaita Vastu one thing on another. On a rope, you can superimpose snake. On something, on a sthanu, you can superimpose Purusha. That is fine. But Puro avastite eva vastuni. Whatever is there outside only you can superimpose. But here you are saying in Atma and Anatma is superimposed. How is it possible? So your Drishtanta is wrong, he claims in another place. Okay, in Taittiriya. Then Bhashyakara says, there is no such niyama. Puro avastite eva vastuni adyasitavyam iti kopi niyamaha nasti. There he argues. There is no need. There is no niyama that only in external things there can be superimposition. On Atma also there can be superimposition. Just because you are having that error doesn't preclude that this error from happening, is what he argues. Anyway, so that is a different thing. But here, the Purvapakshi is saying, Sarpa Vikalpasya Aspada Bhutaha Kalpita Eveti Drishtanta Anupapattihi, because Rajurapi Kalpita Eva. For you, the rope also is Kalpana. Sarpa also is Kalpana. If that is the case, they don't exist. So your Drishtanta, that Drishtanta doesn't hold here, because you are assuming that Raju is Satyam. But that is only in our contention, Dvaiti's contention. You as an Advaiti, for you, Raju means, see, in this Atma and Anatma, you are saying Atma is Nirgunam and Dvaita Jagat is Sagunam. Okay, for that you are taking this Raju and Sarpa. Here Raju also is Sagunam, Sarpa also is Sagunam, so you can do a superimposition on one Saguna Vastu on another Saguna Vastu. Whereas in your case, Atma is Nirguna Vastu and Dvaita is a non-existent thing. And in your case, Atma you haven't even established as an existent. Therefore, for you, this Rajju Sarpa Drishtanta itself doesn't hold. That is what is his contention. He says, Na Vikalpana Kshaye Avikalpitasya Avikalpitatvadeva Sattopapattehe. Vikalpana Kshaye, the Vikalpana, the errors which are happening, when they go away, the Vikalpana Kshaye, when the error, as in like the Vikalpana is superimposition, imagined things, okay, when those imaginations are gone, that which is not imagined, because it have never been subject to imagination of itself, right? You never imagined this to be a rope, okay? So the non-imagined thing, you cannot say because it is an imagination only can go away. A non-imagined thing cannot go away. So that is the scope of this example. Okay. We are not talking about Raju. You cannot club. Example is example for you to understand. Okay. We are not saying Raju also is Satyam. Paramarthika Drishtya, Raju also is not Satyam. Any example. Do you want to understand what Brahman is? In order for you to understand, we have to, within Vyavaharika Satya, we have to use ways for you to understand it. Now, don't bring Paramarthika Drishti and say no example is possible. Here, the scope is Vikalpanakshaye Avikalpitasya Avikalpitatvadeva Sattvopavattehe. The Sattvam is because this was never part of your imagination. You never imagined a rope there. Everything else you have imagined. And this one comes as truth, not as an imagination. Likewise, in the case of Brahman also, you never imagined what is Atma. Okay, you have only imagined things which are available for this cognition and you took it as me. But the aspada on which all superimpositions are being made. Everything. So that's why we say idam rajatam. In the idam rajatam, the rajatatva drishti is where there is a problem. But idam is there satyam only. That is already known. Because the idam is recognized, then that's why you are seeing a rajatam there. There is something here that is already known, but you didn't know that it is rope. Therefore, you see a snake. But that idam taya, for you to be able to make that error there, establishes the existence of something there. And that something, because you have not made a kalpana of that itself, like it is a rope kalpana, that um, that vikalpana has not been done on it. Vikalpana kshaye avikalpitasya avikalpitatvadeva sattvopavattehe. That avikalpitatvam is the hetu for establishing the sattvatvam. Yes, it exists. because it is avikalpitam. It is not your imagination, but it has led other imaginations to be possible. Because of it only, all imaginations has been done. Hence, it has to be understood to be satyam. Okay, Rajju sarpavat asatvam iti chet. Just like your rope snake superimposition, rope also is like the same snake. It says no. Ekantena avikalpitatvat avikalpita rajju amshavate प्राक् सर्पाभाव विज्ञानात् विकल्पयितुश्च प्राग् विकल्पनो उत्पत्तेः सिद्धत्व अभ्युपगमादेव असत्व अनुपपत्तिः. The For you to have imagined a snake or a danda or dara, there should have been something which pre-existed your error. Correct? Ekantena avikalpitatvat. It was never imagined. Your Brahma Vastu, so till today, if somebody has gained the jnana, it's a different thing. But for all others who haven't gained the jnana, that Brahma Vastu till date is avikalpitam. Is not available. You haven't made that error on Atma. Atma as a Brahman kind of vikalpana has never happened so far. Similarly, in this case, the example case, the Rajju Amshatvam has not yet been imagined. Okay, if it was already Rajju Amsha, if you had ever thought, oh, this is a rope, then snake would have never come. Correct? So that Kalpana, Avikalpitatvam, Ekantena Avikalpitam Rajju. Similarly, here Ekantena Avikalpitam Atmastu. Avikalpita Rajju Amshavat Praksarpa Abhava Vijnanat. Rajju shall Avikalpita Rajju, the unimagined rope. Okay. That rope imagination was not there before Sarpa, but then rope itself was there. Similarly, Vikalpayituhu, the one who is making all the Dvaita Vikalpana, Prag Vikalpana Utpattehe Siddhatva Abhyupagamādeva Asattvānupapattihi. So you have to assume that existence of the Vikalpita Swarupa, Vikalpayituhu Swarupa, the one who is making the Dvaita Vikalpana, for him the Sattvat Swarupa has to have pre-existed, on which all the superimpositions can be made. You get that? All the Kalpana presupposes existence of something on which the Kalpana has been made. So, Advaita Vastu's existence has to be there for you to make a Dvaita superimposition on it. Siddhatva Abhyupagamādeva Asatva Anupapattihi. So, therefore, Asatvam cannot be said for this Vastu, Atma Vastu, because for you to make the Dvaita and other things superimposed on it, it should pre-exist. Now you will ask this question, why are you making so complicated? Just say Atma. No, because until you recognize what that Brahma Vastu, we can only talk in a logical yukti. You have to only bring yukti to tell, because right now we are in a stage where Rajju is not yet recognized. But we have to say, until you recognize the Rajju, first you have to tell that a non-Sarpa Adara has to exist for you to say, look beyond the Sarpa. Right now you are seeing Sarpa only. So we have to say, hey, Sarpa is imagined on something else. Suppose I tell you. You will say, no, there is no something else. It is only Sarpa. Then we have to use Yukti to say, first you will ask, how can there be something else? Because I am seeing Sarpa. Either nothing is there, but then I am seeing Sarpa. How can there be nothing? So Sarpa only is true. then I have to tell you, no, 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 it is not nothing. It is something that you never imagined what it is, which is the Rajju, and therefore try and understand what this Rajju is, because something else is there on which you are seeing a Sarpa. So this, that is why we are using Yukti to show that Prag will Vikalpanotpattehe Siddha. So for you, the Dvaitam, it can't be Shunya. That is what we are saying. Shastra is saying Dvaitam is not there. So if Dvaitam is not there, there is a possibility that you can take it as Shunya. So it is not Shunya. Yuktya we are saying, okay, until you gain the Aparoksha Jnanam, you have to understand through Yukti that it has to pre-exist for you to make a Dvaita superimposition on it. प्राग विकल्पना उत्पत्तेः विकल्पना उत्पत्तेः प्रागेव सिद्धत्व अभ्युपगमादेव असत्वानुपपत्तिः कथं पुनः स्वरूपे व्यापार अभावे शास्त्रस्य द्वैत विज्ञान निवर्तकत्वम्. Then he asked this question: if your swarupa is not available for vyapara, because it's advaya vastu, if it is advaya vastu, it is not available for this cognition. If it is not available for this cognition, then it is not available for transaction. Not only it is not available for transaction, it is not available for objectification, it is not available for knowing as a this. So your Shastra cannot show it to you. Swarupe Vyapara Bhave, since it is not available for any Vyapara, Jnana Vyapara, Karya Vyapara, Karma Vyapara, it is not available for any kind of transaction, then how can Dvaita Vijnana Nivartakam happen? Because Advaya Vastu has to be seen for you to remove Dvaita Vijnana. Rajju is at least seen for you to remove Sarpa. Here, this thing, blessed thing, is not available for you for transaction. Vyapara is not possible. Then how can this Dvaitam be negated? For you to negate Sarpa, you have to see the snake. I mean, the rope, Rajju. So here to remove the Dvaita, you should see the Advaya Vastu. It should be there in front of you. Then you can say it is not that, but it is this. But here you are saying this is, it is not even available for this cognition. Vyapara bhave Dvaita Vijnana Nivartakam Katham Bhavati. Na yesha doshaha. No, no, no. This also is not a big problem because you are not understanding. You are asking this question. Rajvam sarpadivat atmani dvaitasya avidya adhyatstatvat katam sukhi aham dukhi moodaha jataha mritaha jeernaha dehavan pashyami vyakta avyaktaha karta pali संयुक्तः वियुक्तः क्षीणः वृद्धः अहं मम एते इति एवमादयः सर्वे आत्मनि अध्यारोप्यन्ते. Here there is an iteratara adhyasa which is atmani anatma adhyasaha. Anatmani atma adhyasaha. On one another is superimposed. But you are saying there is no another. So where is the question of another being superimposed? Okay, so we have to understand there is no another. The another is imagined as an entity, whereas there is nothing like that. It is only the Vastu which is there, but in the form of all those experiences. It is the Atma Vastu. Atma eva आत्मा एतेषु अनुगतः सर्वत्र अव्यभिचारात् यथा सर्पधारादिभेदेषु रज्जुः. In every one of this, we will see this in detail, every one of this kind of experience, the satta, the astitvam, the only existence is Atma. For none of the others, an independent existence can be established ever. They all experience is there, but Satyatvam is not there. The only Satyatvam, Sangataha, Sanpataha, Sanhasti, Sandukki, Sansukhi, Sanmudaha, Jataha, San Mritaha, San, everywhere it is San, 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 or Aham, Aham, Aham. Aham Dukki, Aham Mudaha, Aham Jataha, Aham Drishyami, Aham Idam. All these things are given Satyatvam, Satta by the Atma Vastu only. Atma, from A to Ma, everything is the same, one Vastu only. Ma is the ending sound, A is the beginning sound, within which all the Jagat is there. Everything is there in Atma only. Atma eteshu anugataha sarvatra avyabhicharat. Anywhere, is there anything that is experienced without Atma being there? Therefore, Atmaiva idam sarvam. So this Dvaita, we will see that question is addressed here comprehensively. Okay, the Adhyasa, how it is, how Shastra reveals it. Because it's a very tricky thing, right? What is only Shastra can reveal. Because what is objectified is easy. There are many ways to reveal. Because it is available for objectification. This is not available for objectification. Not only that, all that is objectified also has to be seen as this one thing, because that is the truth. So it is only Shastra can reveal this. Therefore, Shastraika Gamyam, this Atma Jnanam, only through Shastra it can be gained. There is no other way. You cannot stumble upon this knowledge. This is not some, because it is not available, that kind of stumbling. So Shastraika Gamyam. So the people don't understand this. Therefore, they take Shastra very lightly. Anyway, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.